Hey, welcome to Loose Change. Call ahead viewing is available. I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us, and you'll be glad you did. As always, we have another great guest and really interesting stuff, certainly specific to our community, so hang around. What's been going on, Greg? Recently, I went to a new eye doctor to get an exam. I don't know. This is what he had me do. He said, read each letter and then the number. So it went like I, O, U, $200. 40. That's a heck of a lot better, that's for sure. Speaking of the I formation, in Cleveland, pro football, not going all that great. Well, yeah, St. Ignatius, St. Ed's not doing that good. And of course, the Browns, as of the taping of this show, just 2 games in, so you know what's going on. But head coach Hugh Jackson had a birthday, and was really neat to have the whole team chip in and gave him a tie. And if I had any advice, not that it means anything, but if I had any advice for the team, what I would say is, anybody in the organization, whatever you do, if you're going to play the lottery, avoid the kicker. That had not worked out well. And again, they could have won both games, certainly at New Orleans. And on a side note of that, the word's still out that New Orleans quarterback Drew Brees says after football, he's going to get into politics. That might work. And I still have to say how refreshing that would be to finally have a politician who's actually a saint. Come on. And of course, hey, there's remodeling going on at Walmart, doing a lot of cool things. And one thing that they're doing to make the store more customer friendly, they've built a brand new waiting room along with a holding cell. Hey, hold your positions. Dennis Dunham joins us next, right here on Loose Change. All right, hang around, folks. A little bit.
Every day. They travel the length of our broadband network, bringing you the best services available. Our technicians and representatives are knowledgeable, available, and nationally recognized as being among the very best in the business. We're a regular presence in our community, always ready to lend a hand. We're Armstrong, a leader in the broadband industry. Your friends and neighbors, taking pride in our jobs, and a real partner in making our community a better place.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans, and I have the great pleasure to be joined by the Superintendent of South Range Schools. He is Dennis Dunham. Dennis, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jim. My pleasure.
It's ours for sure. And what we like to have our victims or our guests do off the top is, for those who don't know, give us a little background about yourself, where you're from, and how your career path took place.
Happy to. Probably I'm going to back up and rewind quite a bit, actually.
Not that far.
Been in education for 37 years now. Graduated from East Palestine High School. I'm a Bulldog, and left there. Went to Heidelberg College, and to University of Dayton for my master's. Started teaching at Southern Local in 1981. Went to as a teacher, building principal, assistant principal, and had the opportunity to go to South Range in 1996 as a high school principal. Been there ever since, been there 22 years, from building principal to now superintendent. Live in Green Township, just outside of Greenford, to grown children, my wife, and just happy to be part of the South Range community.
What makes the South Range community and schools special?
I've been asked that question a few times in my life, and there isn't just one single answer to that. There's, you have a community that is built with Green Township and Beaver Township. We have a rich history of academics, arts, athletics, caring people, and I think Mahoning County has wonderful school systems, and we happen to be one of them in my mind. And I think just that people make a difference at South Range.
Yeah, what separates the schools from other schools, if anything? I mean, you touched on some things there, but
In
What else?
my mind, obviously you have good people. It's
Yeah,
important that
yeah.
you're employing good people that care about kids and our kids' parents and grandparents, so that you have that sense of family. And I believe we've been able to instill that in our staff, and they care. If you come to events, you see a lot of staff members there, and our kids are genuinely pretty happy. And it shows in their body of work, and I believe the body of work that our staff does as well in terms of where our kids are going when they graduate.
Kind of an obvious thing, you mentioned family, and speak on the importance of having that successful family unit, that or structure that the kids have at home and they bring to school.
It's critical, and we see districts in some of our urban districts without the support of all family members, and we know that's eroded, and it's so critical that you have parents, and we have grandparents raising kids, we have aunts and uncles, and we just see it everywhere everywhere you look. And we've been fortunate, not that we don't have issues, but
Sure.
we
Yeah,
certainly we know how important it is to have that solid family support system behind kids.
Now, when I asked you to perhaps be a guest, we were talking over to Jeff Goods, and we were talking about the 50th anniversary of South Range Schools. So tell us about how that started, what schools merged or consolidated, and how that all came to fruition at the beginning.
I'm going to do my best. It's
Okay.
In fact, I brought just a little token here of South Range Schools. It's a sticker,
Oh, cool.
50 years for you, Jim. It's
All right. No.
something
Put
you
it on
can
that
display
jacket
on
there.
your jacket, on
Nice.
your bumper of your car. But
Yeah.
one of the things that very proud, it's hard to believe that South Range has been now in existence for 50 years. South Range Local Schools came together, consolidation of Greenford and North Lima, Green Township and Beaver Township in 1969. Students merged into the North Lima High School from Greenford High School and North Lima, and we had a partial class in 1969 that graduated, and then we had a full year class of 1970. So as this class, the South Range, the current South Range class, graduates of 2019, they will be the 50th class to graduate as South Range Local Schools as we know it. This is something that is immense pride with the Green Township and Beaver Township communities, but we have one, and with the building that the building project we went through back in 2007 and moving in 2010, it's more centrally located, still in Beaver Township, but just on the edge of Beaver and Green Township, so more centrally located, and the combination of bringing both townships together was the idea long before I came back in the 70s.
Some folks anyway, if not a lot, kind of still hanging on to that the old
Absolutely.
school, and certainly the
Absolutely.
football
It's-
field, but it's a great campus and facility.
Change is inevitable, and it's really difficult for some.
Yeah.
You go back to your days. It's you always believe what you went through was best, and in some cases it is. But change is inevitable, and we have to move with the times.
Tell us about some of the things that are going on in terms of recognizing this anniversary, the events and other happenings that have happened at this point, and they're going to happen.
What we're trying to do is just bring people back together from that very first class of '69. In fact, our first home football game this year, we recognized what we're calling just decade games, where we bring 10 years of graduates back from '69 to '79 was our first game, '79 to '89, and so forth. And we'll recognize all of our graduates, past graduates, throughout the football season. In wintertime, we're looking to do some different things, bringing some memorabilia from the Green Township and Greenford and North Lima and Beaver Township together into the building, so people can kind of reminisce of the Bobcats and Zippers that played one another.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, and South Range. Again, you have to know where you've been to be able to appreciate that and move forward. So we're looking at some other things. We have our student body involved in it. We have students that's part of a senior project that are organizing events. We may be bringing homecoming kings and queens back from 69, 70 clear through through last year to recognize.
What's been the reaction of the community?
I think it's been pretty good. The hustle and bustle of a Friday night football game,
Yeah.
bringing in, maybe we'd have 150 or so graduates would come back. I think for me, and I mentioned it the other evening, it's been a pleasure for me just to sit back and watch people that haven't been around one another for quite some time and maybe didn't recognize their colleagues or their classmates in this case, and I think they really enjoyed that. So we have a hospitality tent. They come and sign in so that we know who they are, and we have some preferred seating for them, and they have an alumni, South Range alumni shirt, and just reminisce.
Yeah, when I work on the radio side, iHeart Radio, and we're broadcasting high school football games. We did game 2 against Cleveland JFK, and didn't get a chance to take in the whole thing that was going on. We're so busy, but that was really neat what was happening there. And of course, it was Hall of Fame night as well.
Right.
And
It's a busy night.
my nephew Dan Good gets inducted, so that was special for me, and that's really cool that that you have that going on as well as part of the whole thing.
There's a lot happening, and tradition is just critical. It's the key in every district because you just don't want to lose sight of what got you to where you are. And we have good people. It's not just one single person that's putting this on. A lot of people are involved in it, but it does take work and some patience on everyone's behalf.
You mentioned what was the Bobcats and the Zippers? Who was what? Was North Lima Zippers?
North Lima was the Zippers
Okay.
and Greenford the Bobcats. Yes,
that's pretty cool. And of course, the old Greenford High School would have been the school on 165.
on
Is
165, that was considered it was a middle school. Elementary, middle school was our west building, and then we had the combination of an elementary and high school in North Lima.
What is your vision? What are your thoughts and plans on making year 51 and beyond even better?
Well, that's a great question because we kind of go back to where we've been and look forward, and the future is very promising. Future for Mahoning Valley is promising if we can retain and keep our graduates in the valley, because some of our best and brightest kids move along, and looking for positions for jobs, and we understand that. But if all things are equal, I say it every year, I'd love for them to stay here and make things better for all of us. As we grow older, those are the folks that we most count on the most will be our students that are graduating. So South Range Schools has a bright future. Facility-wise, this is our 9th year in our building. We're still working on capital fundraising for a stadium project. There's always something going on, and I think that would be something you would see in every district. No one's ever content, and you really just need to keep pushing for excellence, whether it's academics, the arts, athletics, and just the excellence in your community and how your community interacts with your school system.
You mentioned keeping young people here in the area, and it's impossible to have that happen for everyone to stay. And we hear this a lot about in terms of athletics with Youngstown State. Well, why don't more local kids play here? And there are a lot of kids that just want to leave the area and then move on, and that's just the part of the game. But you're so right when you mentioned about keeping is hopefully as many as possible young people to stay in the area and continue to have the opportunity to work in good jobs and stay here.
The area is a good place to work and live. I mean, the cost of living in the Mahoning Valley, it's relatively a safe area for families to raise their kids. The academics are good in Mahoning Valley, so there's good reason. It's just there are students that have dreams and goals of, I want to try someplace else, I want to go somewhere else.
That's okay.
And they don't always gravitate back to here.
Yeah. Talk about the great facility now, the building, and for those who don't know, it's out on Route 46, and what all is the whole system is in that campus, correct?
A lot has changed there as well, and over the 50 years, we from the consolidation in '69 to some renovations in the early '90s of the school system in terms of buildings, to a bond issue that was presented in 2007 and passed in 2007 to build a K-12 district, roughly 235,000 square feet. We opened the building up in 2010, and we started our 9th year. So it's been hard to believe that it's happened that quickly. Over the last 11 years, a lot has happened in terms of the size of the building, the facility itself, from the K-12 to an athletic facility on the same side of Route 46, bus garage, and we now have a stadium project that's really about 3/4 of the way completed, and that's been privately funded. So we're fortunate. We have a lot of good people that make a difference. But the facilities itself, it's like any other district. You know, when students are shopping to go to colleges and universities, that's an important piece for kids, whether it's dorms, whether it's athletic facilities, the arts, whatever it might be, the academic side of things. They want the best and brightest, and honestly, parents shop. And if they can move into the district, so be it, but parents do shop for strong, high-achieving academic schools and also facilities.
You know, the great building you have on campus there, and, you know, kids go to school, they like the environment, all the better. They enjoy being there all the more.
It's in my mind, a great situation. We're able to see kids for 13 years. I can watch a student come in as a kindergartner, and in 4 more years, we've completed the cycle of students coming in as a kindergarten student and graduating 13 years later. And it's really humbling to be able to have that kind of relationship with kids, certainly not just me, all of our staff, because our kids aren't interacting, younger kids aren't interacting with the older kids, but there is they're noticeable.
Sure. We're going to take a quick break. You can hang around, can't you?
Absolutely.
Okay. We're going to be back with more Loose Change with Dennis Dunham right here. Stick around. Welcome back to Loose Change, along with Dennis Dunham. I'm Jim Evans, and we're talking about South Range Schools' 50th anniversary, this great school system, and an important date or two coming up. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. We have November 6th. It seems like it's a ways off, but it'll be here before you know it. We do have a renewal levy. I just wanted to touch on briefly. It's a renewal levy, but it's called a combination levy. And what it is quickly is we have 3 renewal levies coming up over the next 4 years, in 19, in 20, and in 2023. We have new legislation out there that allows us, and our board has approved it, to combine 3 existing renewal levies into one, thus the combination levy. And we're going to put that up for a vote on November 6th. Would reduce some voter fatigue, as you've heard maybe in the past, where they're not coming to the ballot box 3 times over a 4-year period. It'll be once. And if the levy were to pass, the renewal levy, nothing new in terms of no additional tax rates or additional money out of people's pockets. It would just be a renewal, and that would be in place for a 10-year period.
Is that the biggest, or certainly one of the biggest challenges you have in your job as superintendent?
Finance is very important.
Sure.
It's hard to operate when you don't have the dollars to do so. And we're very mindful of you see it everywhere and hear about it. People are very taxed out. We've gone 14 years now without additional operating money, and we're proud of that. We've had to make some cuts, and we've had to really tighten our belts, and we've lost some good people, but most certainly we try to be good stewards of everyone's dollars.
You touched on it. I've heard otherwise. You have great teaching staff, administrative staff there in place. How has teaching changed, if it has at all, from when you first got into the profession?
A lot. Obviously, the teaching and learning and the caring aspect, nothing has changed there. We have to have people they're compassionate and understand kids and want to understand kids and know more about them just from the time they sit in that seat and then leave. They need to know what's going on in their life because, as we talked beforehand, there's so many things happening in kids' lives outside the four walls of the school. So it's really important that teachers really draw a little bit deeper and really get to know kids. It is not one of the classrooms that, when you and I grew up, that teachers teach and kids sit in a row and listen. That's just not something you're seeing. Yes, we have traditional classrooms, but we have a lot of blended learning where the kids are active participants and they're leading the class as well with the teacher as a facilitator. So we certainly don't have all the answers, but we're looking to improve in every aspect we can from an academic standpoint.
Making it a positive experience.
Yes.
As much as you can. How have kids changed, if they have, over the years?
Yeah, I think kids are kids, and I've raised my own, and long before I had my own kids, I was working with others, and so I've kind of gone through the whole cycle. Social media has changed everything in terms of what we do in a school system and what we know, and really what we don't want to know half the time.
Yeah, and again, every coach that we have here says this exact same thing when I mentioned about they're asked about the kids changing and what's the biggest thing, and they all hit on social media, and it's here to stay.
We're not going to backpedal at all. We're going to move forward, and we need to embrace what we can. And there's a balance, and I think we do that in the school, that we balance how much time kids are on their devices, and there is that old-fashioned teaching that goes on as well. But that's a real challenge for us. But kids overall are respectful. In fact, I believe they're as respectful as they've ever been.
Good.
I went to in school in the 70s, and there was a big difference there compared to the dynamics of how kids are respectful and how they treat their staff members or their teachers.
Yeah. We touched on the first segment about the old school and the old stadium and people's that was a great venue.
Right.
We always enjoyed going there to call games and cover games, or even just to go to watch. Great new facility though now. It's really coming along, and I was really impressed a few weeks ago when I had a chance to be over there and touch on that again. What's happening with that?
The stadium project, and it's a capital fundraising project that we've really been working on since 2014, and we have really 3 organizations that have been just tremendous in terms of providing the financial support: South Range Schools Foundation, South Range Athletic Boosters, and the South Range Music Boosters have just been instrumental in getting the stadium to where it is now. From main grandstand, visitor side bleachers, video scoreboard, press box, band shell, team room. We had the all-weather track in place from bid savings from the building project, but this has been something that doesn't happen everywhere, where we have the donations coming in. Of course, there's sponsorship with a number of businesses, and we're happy to do that because they've partnered with the school and they help provide first-class facilities for our kids. And we're not done. We have a ways to go yet. We need public restrooms. We need concession stands. We need some infrastructure in terms of water and things of that nature. We need additional parking and paving and fencing and entrance plazas. So plenty to do, but in the scope of things, we're probably we have 4 phases, and we just started phase 4. But we have dynamic people in those organizations, the boosters, both music and athletic, and South Range Schools Foundation, that just spend an incredible amount of time, and they really have no skin in the game. Their kids aren't in school. They just want to give back to the community.
Well, that's something that's changed from you mentioned when we went to school, and how just the funding for these types of things and the money involved, and that's something that's a new dynamic in recent years.
And it really is, because there's so much that school districts are asking out of their constituents, out of the taxpayers, that there's. And again, it's people go to NFL, MLB, to all these wonderful stadiums, and it doesn't take long before it's pushed down to. You already see it at Division I universities. It's the same as an NFL stadium, and it's pushed down to the high school. Its facilities are such an important piece, as I mentioned earlier, but the privately funded capital fundraising segment that we're in right now is I think something you're starting to see more in other districts.
And of course, at the high school level, it's amateurism, but there's that fine line where you have the business aspect of it now, even more than ever.
We have not gotten to the point where we're advertising on our school buses, but that's in other states. You see it in other states, it's happening because the dollar is so tight for people to find.
Well, we talk about the football stadium, of course, the great job that Coach Yeagley and his staff, and all previous coaches as well, Rich McClellan, and was it Bob McNay?
Bob McNay,
yeah,
yes.
And just a great football tradition there, and they had a great run last year, and finding their way with some new guys this season, but still, when we take this show, still plenty of games to go here and positive things ahead.
We have great tradition in all of our athletic programs, and over the last 3 years, we had state runners-up in soccer. We had state semifinals in Division V in football last year.
Yep.
And then this last spring, we had our Division III state baseball champions, South Range. So, we've competed with the best, and I couldn't be more proud of that. Again, I never threw a football or played at South Range or caught a baseball at South Range, but 99% of the people haven't, but they're doing things to help the kids be able to do that and achieve and be successful.
Just one more thing on the football team. Of course, they move into a new league next year.
Yes,
We're
we're presently in the Northeast 8 NE8 right now, other than football.
Yeah,
and it's going to be challenging. It is challenging. It's a heck of a schedule for our kids and coaches and community. But it's closer in terms of the rivalries that we will begin to have with, again, the likes of Poland and Girard and Struthers and Niles and Hubbard, people that are Lakeview, Jefferson, keep going. We have a lot of folks that will be competing, and I think there'll be some very healthy rivalries.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that for sure. You mentioned the baseball team, and I definitely wanted to touch on that. The first ever state champion at South Range, correct?
We kind of laughed. It took us 49 years to get there.
Hey.
Almost at the 50th, but I think it was quite a run. Hats off to our coaching staff and our kids, and they just had a dream season. They came together when they really needed to, and it was quite a great feeling, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. But the community did come together and was very supportive in Columbus, and I don't think you can say enough about our staff and our kids of being able to achieve that feat, because that just doesn't happen.
Well, you have every right to be proud, and you've done a great job in making it a successful venture, and I'm sure much better things ahead. So,
well, there's great things ahead, and again, I've had great mentors along the way, previous superintendents, whether it's Ralph Robinette, Jim Hall at South Range. In my lifetime, there's been great people that have helped me, and but ultimately, our success at South Range is because of our kids and our community that work together.
For sure.
Yep.
Hey, it was great to have you here.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it
having
so
me.
much, and best of luck this 50 years and years ahead. Here.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys. Okay. We'll be back to wrap it up here on Loose Change. Hang around.
Still trying to decide between EXP and satellite? Let's take a look at the facts. Only EXP from Armstrong offers award-winning local customer support and free service calls with no contracts and no early termination fees. EXP also includes Zoom Internet, the area's fastest, plus an intuitive user interface powered by TiVo for the ultimate TV experience. As you can see, when it comes to EXP versus satellite, there's just no comparison. EXP from Armstrong, this changes everything.
That's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much to Dennis Dunham, and as always to Greg Roden, and you as well, and Mom and Dad. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, and we'll check you out next time right here on Loose Change.